I'm worried to you, Dave. You would have digested and stored in things from the weekend, over the weekend as well, of course. You're on now, as they always say in football, on to your next challenge straight away.
Yeah. We watched the game yesterday. Plenty of notes, plenty of areas for improvement, and we get an opportunity tomorrow. So that's one of the good things. The games come thick and fast, and we've got to improve.
The one thing you said that your side lacked fluidity. How do you get that into them? You know, immediately with not too much training sessions, unfortunately. But what will you be looking for between going to Hartlepool with today's training?
I think you re-emphasise the points that made us what we are as a team. You know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is where we're at. This is what we're about, and make sure you give it a good go at what we're about. You know, what the fundamentals of our play are about. So, you know, just re-emphasise. It's not that they can't do it. We've got to make sure that we get it out of them.
Are you expecting it to be a little bit longer this time? You know, I know you had the view of it, how you thought the opening few weeks of the first season back in League One was, but do you think it might just take a bit more time for everything to settle, to gel in, and then onwards and upwards?
Yeah, I think I think if somebody's described as a work in progress, I wouldn't disagree with them. You know, you've got to remember what have we had? Pixie, Ryan, Perry, Omar, Kirky, Tom. Who else? Anyone else? There's 6 or 7 that was missing from last season. Well, that takes a while to you know, to get up and running. Are we going to do it game one? Well, great if we do, but if we don't, then we'll keep working and we'll keep progressing and we'll keep getting better and we'll keep that fluidity and that you know, them partnerships, them relationships. We'll get them together and keep working on them. And that's what we've got to do.
I don't like turning the clock back, and I don't like being negative. I like to get on the positive, but I'm going to turn the clock back because I think it's going to get an interesting thought from you. 4 years ago, you went to Hartlepool and lost 4-0. Oblivion was staring someone in the face. You even said that someone could end up as milkman. But in those 4 years, you and your staff have had a lot of positives, haven't you?
Yeah, I think you'll find we went to Portsmouth on the Saturday and won 1-0 as well. So I think this football club's made significant strides on the pitch in the last 4 years, 4.5 years. And the challenge is to maintain that or better it every year. And we've got, you know, we have, like I said, we have done that. I think, like I said, the last time we went to Hartlepool, it was certainly in darker circumstances, irrespective of the result. Tomorrow night, we're in a far worse place. So we've got to make sure that whatever happens tomorrow, however Hartlepool set up, whatever the threat is, we match their quality, their endeavour, and show them the gap between League Two and League One, and that's got to be the challenge. You know, Hartlepool, to their credit, have just returned to the Football League within that 4-year period. We've gone up a division and developed players. So, you know, if you look at the contrast of the two clubs, they're back in the Football League, which is a terrific credit to them. We never had to go back to take one step forward. We've gone forward and continue to go forward, and the plan is to keep that trend going. It's going to be a challenge, as it always is every year. But that's, you know, and tomorrow night it just so happens to be Hartlepool again, and we've got to make sure that we show that our progress over the last 4 years is greater than their progress.
Does this cup tie come in so quickly because you've had your pre-season games and you've had a few sort of adjustments over your opening game of the season with your team selection? Does it give you an opportunity to get some game time for a few players who who probably didn't get on or only got X amount of minutes on Saturday?
Possibly. We've got to make sure that we don't. I've just been talking about relationships and getting better and fluidity. So on one hand, I go, you've got a valid point, and you're right. On the other hand, I go, we're not going to get relationships and fluidity if we keep chopping and changing. So, we've got to mix that and blend that together and try and come up with the right answer.
As you pointed out, they've come back into the Football League after a few years' absence. They got a fine win in front of their 5,000 odd supporters. You had 5,000 odd supporters as well. It was great to have those fans back, wasn't it? Just generally, just your feeling on that now, having assessed all that.
I think any player who played at the weekend in front of, in a league game would say the same thing. The fans make the games, really. The emotion that's invested from the stands transmits to the players, and it helps. It helps. I think our best period of the game on Saturday was probably the last 20-25 minutes. You could say that was down to substitutions, or you could say that was because the crowd were getting right behind us. Probably a bit of both, to be honest, but we've got to make sure that we give the crowd at home something to cheer about. We'll make sure wherever we go, Hartlepool on tomorrow night, where there'll be a few thousand there, Portsmouth on Saturday, where there'll be more than a few thousand there. We've got to make sure we then keep them quiet, and that's another challenge that the players haven't had to answer or come up against for the last 15 months. So we've got to make sure that that's something that it's the first away game in front of a crowd. So we didn't have one all last season. We've got to make sure that that's something the players are aware of.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're on a run actually of 3, aren't you? Hartlepool, Portsmouth, Oxford, all the way away from home. Does it make any difference for how you play and your style that it can help you? The pressure's off in terms of we talk about fans, and we're delighted to have them supporting you. But is it a little bit better for you sometimes when you go away from
home? Again, there's two sides to that coin. You could say most definitely the pressure's always off us. Nobody expects us to win. We rolled into Portsmouth on Saturday. I'm pretty certain there's no Portsmouth fans going to think it's going to be a tough game. Because that helps us. That helps us. Why? Because they might get on their backs sooner. Likewise, they might go there in party mood, cheering earlier on in the game. There's all these little nuances, these psychological nuances that are. Need to be thought about, but not analysed in great depth. A crowd's a crowd. It's all about what we do on the pitch and how well we do on the pitch, and that's where our focus lies, really.
And just one final thing, Dave. Obviously, we're going to keep asking, as you did say, if anything's happened, you'll let us know. I know it hasn't been many hours, but football moves quick. Is there any update from your club about your players?
Not in a minute. There's one or two things that have gone on behind the scenes that will delay that process with regards to one player.